Hey friends, good morning. Doug Meyer here, and you are tuning in to Morning Pause. Morning Pause is a little thing we put together every week where we talk about stuff. Sometimes it's deep stuff, sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's spiritual, but mainly it's stuff just to give us all a break to stretch our hearts and stretch our minds. So this morning we're going to stretch, and it might be kind of a hard stretch for some. But over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to invite you to join me in thinking about and doing what I just call some heavy lifting. And so today's is going to start with a story of a little guy who grew up many years ago and found it really easy to do what I will call tell a fib, or some would call a little white lie. A lot of times he did that to stay out of trouble because he had done or gone or seen or messed with something he wasn't supposed to. So he would make up a little story to cover up around the edges. Then sometimes he would tell a story and get a laugh, and he would use it to entertain people, all the while he was also getting out of trouble. But really at the bottom, at the end of the day, he did it just to CYA, because he was a little scared of his dad and the trouble he was about to get into. And then that little boy grew up to be a teenager who continued to live into telling stories to kind of manage his mean, hurtful lies, but they were protective lies. And then that young man grew up into a married man who just continued to do that. Not that that young man was addicted to lying, but that had just become a way of doing life, to avoid perhaps responsibility or accountability, or to make an excuse for why he got home late or forgot stuff that he was supposed to get at the grocery store. And then one day that young man turned into an older man and realized it was exhausting to always tell stories, to always fib. And basically he had just turned into somebody that used lying as a crutch. And he decided he didn't want to do that anymore. And he stopped. And it took him a while to learn the benefits of doing that. Yeah, that little guy is me. And what I've come to appreciate is how complicated it gets in our lives when we plant the seeds early on of lying. And I know right now you're thinking, well, I don't lie. Well, chances are you do. Matter of fact, there have been countless studies about how often we lie. And when we first learn to lie, most of us lie pretty often, y'all, really, truly. And you're going to find studies that say men probably lie a little bit more than women. And on average in America, a middle-aged man lies 3 to 4 times a day. A woman will lie once or twice. There's all sorts of stories about how often kids lie. And if you put in parentheses next to that, cheat, which is kind of a version of lying, kids who are honest lie a lot in school. There has been epidemics of lying all the way through higher education. There have been young men and women kicked out of military schools and higher institutions of learning for lying and cheating. And so this morning I just want us to think about what's that all about? Why do we lie? In the face of, knowing that, well, we probably really shouldn't, right? And that we're taught, if you're a Christian, gosh, what I call the Big Ten in Exodus 20, the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not lie. Paul in Colossians says, do not lie to one another. There are anecdotes and instructions throughout our life about not lying, but we do it. And I think we do it mainly to do 2 different things. I'm going to call them to protect or project. To protect ourselves from what we think are the consequences of the action that we just did, that we're now lying to kind of cover up, or to protect our reputation. Many people get caught up in what I will call image management, and the lie is a part of the projection of who we are. And it takes a lot to unplug that, and because there's a whole machinery built up on keeping up impressions. One of the other great places, and great meaning volume, people lie are on resumes and tax returns. It'd be interesting to somehow figure out a way to audit a resume lie. You know, sometimes it comes out in the wash, right? When somebody says, well, I know how to do that, and they get hired, and then come to find out, no, they really didn't know how to do that. Most lying on resumes are about higher education or past things. Every now and then you'll see a thing in the news where it will come out that somebody was exposed for saying they did one thing, a award they got or medal they got in armed services that they really didn't get. Sometimes it is protect other people's feelings, and I get that. And that's where we start getting into this little slippery slope of justifying a lie, right? Hey, honey, do I look good in this dress? Hey, honey, did that taste good? Hey, kids, you know, was that a fun thing we did? We lie thinking we're protecting somebody else's feelings, when in reality they could handle the truth, right? But maybe, what's that movie where Jack Nicholson's telling? Especially if we're kind of addicted to lying. So protect and project. Wonder why do you deceive, lie, tell a fib? You know, we condition them, don't we? Like a fib is like, well, that's just no big deal. Or I told a lie, I didn't want to hurt somebody's feelings. And we get on this slippery slope. Just invite you to think about that. I know it's kind of a hard truth. I'm in a group of men and women in recovery who have shared stories about this cycle, getting in what I call the crazy-making cycle of telling a lie to cover a lie, that goes on and on and on. And when they finally just slammed on the brakes and began to dismantle the lying machinery, how darn relieved they felt, and how they could breathe deeper and sleep better, because they didn't have to worry about telling a lie to cover a lie. And well, what lie did they most tell? I know some of us feel defensive when this comes up, and I don't really mean to put you on the spot any more than I put me on the spot. The reality is that many of us lie, and many of us can choose to not lie. It's a process of dismantling, like I said. And if you're wondering, like, okay, Doug, how do I just stop? Well, that's what you do. You plant a flag on a day, and you say, from here on, I'm not going to lie. Will you relapse? Oh yeah, sure, you'll relapse. But then the next day you'll do a little better. And what will begin to happen is you'll have this good feeling, and you'll build on that good feeling of beginning to be known as a truth teller versus somebody that other people suspect is a liar. Man, that's a hard word, isn't it? To say I'm a liar. That's why we say all the other niceties about it. But let's own that that's a hard part of life, and that many of us do it. There is great relief and joy on the other side. I'm happy to introduce you to other men and women who are overcoming the challenges of truth-telling, of image protection and image projection, and that exhaustive cycle. So think about it. Don't close all the doors in your mind just because it's a hard feeling. But think about it and let me know. Share with me your thoughts about this subject. There's just countless. I could really go on and on and on. There's a great list of top 20 things of things people lie about. There's a real simple one. I'm fine. Nothing's wrong. How many times have you said that? It was on sale. I never got your message. I would never lie to you. Oh, there's a great list. Just Google it. You'll find it. And then you'll begin to see, oh, yeah, you probably lie. But you know what? You're loved. You're treasured. You're still really important to a lot of people in a lot of people's lives. And it's something you can overcome. If you need help with it, let me know. Again, thanks for tuning in today on Morning Pause. I hope that you're willing to stretch and to think deep thoughts and to hold yourself accountable for being the person that God designed you to be. So, in the meantime, that's a whole lot of information. Take a sip of your coffee, sit down, and just ponder what kind of person you want to be. Thanks for tuning in today. Let's have a prayer. We'll go out. God, it's hard to say some of the hard stuff that we are and that we wrestle with. some of us wrestle with this, well, we'll call it a bad habit, but then it became a way of life of deceiving others and deceiving ourselves. And man, it's a hard thing to get out of, but it can be overcome. And we know that with your help, we can do that. And thank you. Amen. If you enjoyed today or it provoked you or poked you, let me know. In the meantime, take care. Bye-bye.